Maybe we won't agree on every issue. Hell, maybe we won't agree on any issue. But maybe when the campaign signs come down, we all get a little break from the rhetoric and the TV ads and the fundraising texts, and I'm sorry about those. Maybe when we get a little break from this campaign that we're in, we'll be able to look at each other and see not enemies but neighbors. And maybe we'll be able to sit down over coffee or a Diet Mountain Dew and just talk. Talk about our kids.
Tim Walz continues to be criticized for embellishing his rank in service. After it came out over the weekend, he once claimed to be an official bikini inspector.
Tim Walz just walked straight into a political explosion so loud it shook the late-night TV universe. And the guy who lit the match? Yup, Greg Gutfeld, armed with sarcasm sharper than Walz's sinking poll numbers. This wasn't a gentle critique. It was a full-scale comedic burn. Gutfeld took what should have been a normal leadership moment and turned it into a late-night demolition derby. So what did Walz do to set it off? And how hard did Gutfeld go once he let loose? Buckle up, because this political train wreck throws more sparks than a fireworks warehouse during a lightning storm.
Walz's direct superior in the National Guard says Walz knew his unit was about to deploy to Iraq and went behind the back of his superior officer to resign. When reached for comment, Walz yelled, "Hey, look over there," and then ran away. Although Walz's actions look bad to veterans, Dems say these revelations could really help him win the coward vote.
Tim Walz had one clear goal: make Minnesota look like it was being run by a grown-up. Instead, he found himself starring in a political reality show nobody signed up for, all thanks to Greg Gutfeld. The king of late-night mockery rolled in with sarcasm so sharp it felt borderline regulated. The jokes kept coming. The dignity? Not so much. Walz's polished leadership image fell apart fast, like a gluten-free muffin in a heavy rainstorm. One segment was all it took. Suddenly, the governor looked less like a steady statesman and more like a background actor in a soap opera where politics goes completely off the rails.
Meanwhile, Kamala's VP, Tim Walz, is being accused of lying about his rank, which is called stolen valor. But in Walz's defense in Minneapolis, stealing is legal. The tampon king gets back in the ring. I speak of former VP nominee Tim Walz. He joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Let's be honest. This wasn't a soft critique. It was more like getting smacked with a frying pan made entirely out of Fox News monologues. Gutfeld was clearly done with Walz playing the role of Minnesota's fearless hero. Except this time, the armor was just tinfoil and empty PR slogans. This wasn't a simple takedown. It felt like a full medieval siege, complete with sarcastic catapults and flaming punchlines. Walz walked in wearing a superhero cape, but by the end, it looked more like a bathrobe stitched together with pure denial.
Tim Walz vomits more nonsense.
I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is.
Wow. Oh. Jamie.
What a
Painful,
douchebag,
huh?
Greg. That was absolutely painful. He was the keynote speaker at this conference. Can you imagine having to watch more of that?
Yeah.
While Walz was busy patting himself on the back for fixing problems he helped create, Gutfeld waited in the shadows like a comedy ninja, armed with facts and knockout punchlines. And when he finally struck, it wasn't a light jab. It was a full verbal cannonball straight through the governor's polished PR story. The whole performance, smiling press conferences, recycled crisis sound bites, and victory laps over half-finished work, went up in flames under the harsh spotlight of satire. Walz never saw it coming. Or maybe he did, and walked right into it anyway.
I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is.
Wait, you lost because you weren't woke enough? That's like telling Joy Behar she's not eating enough Doritos. That's like Jasmine Crockett saying, I gotta black this up. That's like Bud Light saying, hey, you know what? We could use more Dylan Mulvaney. But even Kamala's not that clueless, and that's saying something. Walz also seemed to doubt the validity of the last election and future ones.
Greg Gutfeld didn't just tease the governor's image. He slow-roasted it at a full-blown political barbecue. Every smug podium moment, every self-congratulatory tweet, and every mission-accomplished victory lap turned to ash. Tim Walz tried to smile through the backlash, but the internet spotted the crack in his composure right away. Social media erupted like glitter dumped during a preschool art meltdown. The memes were ruthless. The commentary turned savage overnight. Walz went from politician to punchline, dragged through comedic mud and left hanging like yesterday's news. And just when it seemed like he might brush it off, he spiraled. Twitter blowups, rage threads, and enough online fury to melt broadband cables. It was a meltdown for the history books.
Tim Walz vomits more nonsense.
I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to him.
The reactions rolled in like a July heat wave in Minnesota, intense, dramatic, and gone almost as fast as they arrived. Walz wasn't just annoyed, he was glowing with rage. Staffers rushed around with herbal tea, calming playlists, and emergency mindfulness podcasts, but nothing could cool down a governor-sized ego on fire. He charged through the Capitol like someone who just lost a fistfight with public opinion. At one point, aides were probably Googling how to manage an elected official having an existential crisis during business hours. Walz tried to spin it as a noble fight for truth, but it came off more like a bad Yelp review battle against sarcasm itself.
This one's a quote we saw just recently, Donald Trump's executive order to make it more difficult, specifically to women, trying to make it more difficult for women to be able to vote. We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote.
Wait, so Trump is making it more difficult for women to vote? How so? Math problems? But it's further proof that the most dangerous thing for a leftist is a follow-up question, which is why you never hear any. But I guess questioning elections is okay now. But the best moment came when Walz forgot who.
Meanwhile, Gutfeld was calmly sipping espresso like none of this ever happened, probably deciding whether to roast Oregon next or bully the Weather Channel for fun. He didn't just criticize Walz's decisions, he went straight for the whole vibe. Walz came off less like a leader and more like a drama student who wandered into a press conference by accident. Gutfeld packed the segment with Broadway-level mockery. Every Minnesota stumble got a flashy retelling, and Walz's economic plans were compared to a Pinterest recipe that looked amazing but failed spectacularly in real life. Big promises, toaster pastry results.
He looks like the high school football coach who made sure everyone showered after practice. Now, I don't want to say Tim is far left, but even Bernie Sanders is like, holy, you picked him? During the BLM riots, Walz blamed the unrest on a lack of equity and inclusion. He called the events exciting for they created a sense of optimism. Yeah, I guess they should have burned down more buildings. After all, nothing is more equal than fire.
And Gutfeld didn't even raise his voice. He methodically tore apart Walz's public safety record like it was a failed pilot for a crime show nobody asked to see. Crime stats kept popping up like 90s boy bands, awkward, uninvited, and impossible to ignore. Still, Walz stood at the podium as if he deserved a round of applause. Gutfeld's takedown was precise. No yelling, just sharp, surgical finesse. Then came the mock Law and Order segment, where supposed reforms looked more like interpretive dance than real policy. Identity politics became the state's unofficial motto, while actual solutions quietly slipped off stage. Minnesota started feeling less like a state and more like a BuzzFeed quiz about leadership gone sideways.
But I guess Walz is a Molotov cocktail half full kind of guy. I bet he thought 9/11 really helped people in lower Manhattan afford rent. Too soon? Walz has a 100% rating from Planned Parenthood, earning him total support from Kamala's husband's former nanny. So why did Kamala Harris choose Walz as her running mate? Apparently, he was the only one who didn't laugh and hang up when she called.
But the damage control team couldn't keep up. People weren't buying it. They'd seen this rerun before. In desperation, Walz had his staff put out a blog post so thick with Midwestern passive aggression it could have doubled as artisanal maple syrup. It claimed Gutfeld lacked political nuance, which really meant, stop making me look foolish. Of course, Gutfeld didn't back down. He brought charts. He staged reenactments. He even had a Viking dramatically read a Walz press release. It was ridiculous. It was hilarious. And most of all, it was pure ratings gold.
Politico lingers on candidates' fingers and defend Walz's wide eyes as they claim beards are for bad guys. And there's only one explanation for Tim spewing nonsense like this. Time of the month.
Even Minnesota's moose were probably weighing in by now. The national media sat back and watched the meltdown unfold in glorious HD. Gutfeld was basically minting satirical money while Walz scrambled to rewrite his legacy. One town hall spiraled into what looked more like group therapy. A simple question about infrastructure turned into a long monologue about childhood tractors. The audience couldn't tell if this was governance or modern performance art. Naturally, Gutfeld followed up with sock puppets, one of which had a better tax plan than the governor. By then, everyone was joining the fun. Other comedians, celebrities, and even TikTok influencers dropped diss tracks.
Writes this piece on the body language from the debate, claiming that it speaks volumes. Yeah, it says that Walz lost, but one of them at Politico says it's like Walz's wide eyes showed his passion and emotional intensity. Can we show that? There is his wide eyes. That humans would widen their eyes to convey that danger is close. What emotion are you getting from that?
Sorry. Still. That was every...
By the end of the month, Walz was clutching note cards crafted by PR consultants with theater degrees. Meanwhile, Gutfeld was already plotting his next celebration. Minnesota's government looked like a failed group project where nobody bothered to read the instructions. Budget meetings felt more like talent shows. Committees had turned into improv circles. Walz was still desperately trying to prove he wasn't the punchline. But in a showdown between a politician and a comedian, only one comes out unscathed, and it's never the guy with a PowerPoint titled "Why I'm Still Legit." Walz had turned a skit into an epic saga, a roast into a full-blown tragedy. And the intermission still hadn't arrived.
And look around and look at, I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country.
Dude. You're an old white guy. And you're right, you are a huge disappointment. I guess hating himself is the first thing he's nailed correctly. Because Walz saying old white men suck isn't a political stance, it's his confession. Walz calling people old and white is like Maxine Waters making fun of someone for shopping at Wigs R Us. He wants to execute more DEI policies, and Trump wants to execute murderous gang members. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see the difference? Keep this up, Democrats, and the next 3 presidents will be Vance, Hegseth, and Kid Rock.
And Gutfeld, he barely had to lift a finger anymore. Walz's team rolled out a rebranding campaign so painfully awkward it made infomercials look sophisticated. Billboards appeared everywhere, smiling lakeside photos, kids playing, and one truly bizarre image of a talking loon explaining state debt. Staffers were sent to meme boot camp. There were workshops on clapback strategy and emoji etiquette. Brownies were labeled emotional support snacks. Gutfeld didn't even need punchlines anymore, just screen grabs. Holding a plush moose and sipping tea, he let the facts do all the work. Reality was his co-star.
With Walz, it's hard to even bring him up. He has a resting snitch face. You know? I mean, he forfeited his man card during COVID and the riots. And you're right. And also, at that diner, of course, he left early. People misreading Tim's odd greeting. The man of the hour, Tim Walz, brings us our second video of the day, and he's got a very weird way of greeting his wife of 30 years. Roll it. I want to see this in slow motion. You'll see Walz extends his hand to his wife. She grabs it. They shake. He pulls her close and then goes in for that non-friction hug, all the while still shaking her hand. I wish there was a word to describe that. Oh, yeah, weird.
Somehow, it only got funnier. Walz's next big public stunt, a live kayak stream, to show he was in touch with the people, ended in chaos. The kayak flipped, a bald eagle flew overhead, and the internet immediately crowned it a metaphor. Clips were looped to dramatic music. Then came the EDM remix of his meltdown, climbing to number 4 on Spotify's unintentional comedy charts. At this point, Walz wasn't running Minnesota. He was just surviving a meme war at the speed of dial-up internet. He waded straight into Gutfeld's roast with all the fireworks, setting his political mansion ablaze while insisting it was interpretive performance art.